In today's video, I am going to be breaking down why BMO is a massive, massive deal right now. Let's get down to it. So this is Bank of Montreal's stock price right now at the time of recording this video. There's two reasons why this is a massive, massive deal right now, and it's got actually not much to do with the actual stock itself. Actually, very little. So first, let's break down the stock and see how good of a deal it is, and then we'll get into the two big pieces of news about this stock. So first off, they raised their dividend, currently sits at just over 4%. It's actually a lot higher than that percentage on this chart. However, that's fine at this point in time. But it's basically a 4% dividend stock. From there, what we are looking at is their volume as well. And their volume is very, very healthy. You can get in and out. I doubt that we're going to be buying 1 million shares of Bank of Montreal. So at this point, that's a very good sign. That is very liquid. And next is the PE ratio being somewhere in the middle. It's not the cheapest Canadian bank. It's not the most expensive. And in my opinion, that is going to be changing drastically over the next 6 months to a year because of one of the pieces of news. That PE ratio is going to most likely look a lot cheaper very soon. Also, their market cap is going to most likely explode to the upside over the next 5 years. Again, due to one of the pieces of news that just came out. Its 5-year chart looks extremely interesting because most of the Canadian banks before COVID were pretty much trading sideways, and so was Bank of Montreal. The one bank that wasn't trading sideways was National Bank of Canada, NA, on the stock market. However, just like every other bank, they had a massive, massive downturn. If you were buying right there, that was a fantastic time to buy. I was buying all the way down that downturn, and check out this right there. This is something that I really wanted to point out, and that is whenever you see a double bottom, it's going to explode to the upside. Anyone who didn't see that was lying to themselves or just didn't know. However, recently they have had a little bit of a pullback. So has the whole entire stock market. The reason is because of the virus. The virus is really hurting the stock market right now because, of course, everyone is fearing for the unknown. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a fantastic time to buy Bank of Montreal stock for lots of very good reasons, but this is actually one of them. And that is, as we know, the Canadian banks are not sensitive at all to the COVID virus. The stock price really doesn't care. Guess what? Their earnings also don't care as well because they were still able to make crazy earnings during that pandemic. And it's apparently happening again with Quebec shutting down and the whole world wanting to shut down again. It's a virus. We're going to have to live with it. There's no reason to shut down anymore, but that is totally a different topic on whatever we're talking about today, which is BMO. So anytime that there's a pullback due to the virus, definitely buy, because the virus means absolutely nothing because it basically doesn't do anything to you. When it comes to their dividends, they've raised their dividend 30 or 25% to $1.33. I remember something, and that is I remember saying on this channel that the Canadian banks were going to raise their dividend somewhere between 15 and 30% once they're allowed to raise their dividend. Well, guess what? BMO raised their dividend 25%. National Bank raised their dividend 23%. I was right. All these people who were giving me comments saying, you're wrong, they're only going to give it like a 5% raise. Ha, you were wrong, I was right. And we can see a massive, massive increase in dividends over many, many years. You want to see companies that consistently raise dividends over and over and again, over again. Now, this is kind of a fake number here, right here, the revenue and earnings number. That's, in my opinion, a fake number. The reason is they had to put a whole bunch of money away into accounts for provisions for loan losses if they even happened, which they didn't really happen. And that is why that number is lower. This number is a heck of a lot higher because they were starting to recover those and count them as earnings. And of course, that's going to continue going on to the future because they still have loan loss provisions in accounts, at least some of them. So the earnings are going to continue to go higher, but look at the revenue, look at the earnings. Percentage-wise, check this out. Earnings doubled in 2021, while revenue was only up from before the COVID garbage. It's only up about maybe about 5% or so higher over the 2-year period, yet they doubled their earnings. This is exactly what I was talking about a year ago. And that is when a company cuts back so that they can basically hold on to more capital, more money, and then you look at it and say, well, now that they've learned how to cut back and save money, well, now their earnings are going to go up into the future because they're always going to be making the same amount of money. They are a bank. And if they learn how to cut back and make more money, they're going to have higher earnings. That's the plus on the plus minus. So that means higher dividend rate increases potentially into the future as well. And on top of it all, they're making more money than ever before. Just a recipe for amazingness. And of course, that is what they raised the dividend up to, $1.33. And that is a 25% dividend increase. And just absolutely amazing because guess what? They also have buybacks as well. And that's one piece of news, but this is the second piece of news. Bank of Montreal, BMO, expands U.S. presence with a $16 billion purchase of the Bank of the West from BNP Paribas. So, CBC article, BMO hikes dividend 25%. All of Canadian big banks have raised their dividends this week. Well, this is kind of old news now. It's back in the first week of December and we're not there anymore. But this is one piece of news as to why we need to really look seriously at the bank stocks. They, like I said, are raising dividends. This is what you want in a stock that is going to continue to rise higher and give you dividends. And dividend increases at that. Also, this new bank purchase of Bank of Montreal down in the States for $16 billion is apparently, according to the local news station here, is the largest U.S. bank purchase by a Canadian bank. BMO is expanding into the States, and I'm going to tell you probably the reason why. And that is, in Canada, we tend to lock down a lot. That's going to obviously hit earnings of a bank. However, in the States, they're wide open, and they are not exactly at least the national level, or even at most state levels, really looking at locking down at all. So guess what? Who's making money? The people in the states, which means that a bank needs to invest in other municipalities, in this case the states, because the municipality that they are in, Canada, wants to lock down all the damn time, which means that the earnings from up here are going to be decreased slightly, while the ones down in the states are going to be increasing. This is the same for basketball players. I know of a lot of high-level basketball players who have just said, screw Canada altogether, I'm going down to the states to play because there's nothing up here. And that is the paragraph right there. For $16.3 billion, the biggest deal ever, allowing the Canadian lender to double its footprint in the world's biggest economy, that isn't locking down. Anyways, that's sort of a rant as well as Stock analysis, BMO is a massive buy in my opinion because they have doubled their footprint in the States. They're raising their dividends. They are still making record earnings. And clearly, COVID is not affecting BMO the same as it is with other businesses. And they're expanding out of Canada because Canada is clearly a terrible country to live in right now. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. This was kind of a political video as well as a Bank of Montreal video. Anyways, leave your comment down below with your thoughts on pretty much anything I said today. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas if you believe in Christmas, and Happy Holidays if you don't. And I'll see you guys again next year. This is the last video for this year.